What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to MANIACITV, man. Today, we got the full story of K Flock, the documentary from my boy Publish X, man. You talk about quality docs on YouTube, man. Publish X is honestly one of my favorite, man. You know, he always come with the quality and all the facts, man. So we gonna see what this one all about K Flock, man. First off, free K Flock till it's backwards, bro. He been down for a minute, man. And I ain't gonna lie, before we even jump into this, I remember when I first started reacting to K Flock. I ain't gonna lie, I was asleep for a long time. But like, you know, I did the reaction to him back in like 2021. And I don't know what it was, man. I still even believe it to this day. Out of all the New York drill rappers that we've listened to, I'm talking dating back to 2020 all the way up until now, with all due respect to everybody, man, I feel like K Flock was up there with Pop Smoke as far as, in my opinion, on who could be the one to really take the torch for New York and really take New York to the next level. You know, after we lost Pop Smoke, man, as soon as I started listening to K Flock, I'm like, this is gonna be the dude right here. But you know, unfortunate circumstances are, you know, it's just, you know, unfortunate circumstances kind of put that on hold. Put it on hold, man. So we gonna see the full story of K Flock, man. Let's get it.
432 days have passed since K Flock surrendered himself to detectives for a murder that happened on December 16, 2021. While walking with his sister and her friend down 151st in Amsterdam, he crossed paths with another gang member who spotted him from inside of a barbershop. Words were exchanged, and just moments later, the man, who was identified as Oscar Hernandez, died from bullets to the neck and chest. After 911 calls came pouring in, investigators quickly identified K Flock in his $4,000 outfit as the main suspect. They then issued a warrant for his arrest on first-degree murder charges on December 23rd, and without question, he self-admitted. He was only 18 years old at the time.
Bro, 18 years old, man. You got a $4,000 fit on walking through the trenches, somebody. And you know, and this is the thing, though. This is why it's so hard, because listen, first off, we know law enforcement don't give a fuck about nobody in the hood. We know this. So, you know, and they minds is, oh, you know, just let him do what he gonna do to you. If he's gonna rob you, let him rob you. No, nigga, if you got it on you, if I got it on me, best believe this motherfucker gonna get to singing. It's gonna get to singing in the street. I'm gonna protect myself accordingly. But then again, you know, you do that, there's other things. If it's an unregistered firearm, if it's anything, I mean, you know, murder is murder at the end of the day. You know, they ain't trying to hear self-defense. They ain't trying to hear none of that. And that's just a disadvantage of, man, you know, a disadvantage of being from the environment. But, you know, 18 years old, man. But at least now, you know, it's like, weird as it may sound, a lot of niggas probably like, okay, K Flock really bought it, because bro really caught a body. Everybody always talk about it. Bro really did it. But in all seriousness, now bro got to face the consequences that come with this at such a young age, man. It's crazy.
And without question, he self-admitted. He was only 18 years old at the time. 3 days later, his lawyer would release a statement claiming the shooting was done in self-defense.
Somebody walked out to confront him. It's all on video. When the guy hits the ground, he's got a loaded gun that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. We consider that to be self-defense.
Self-defense, but like I said, they don't care about none of that, bro. They don't care, and especially in New York. New York is probably the worst state to do anything in. Even if you're doing it in good intent, if you're not out trying to find the problem, bro, they will find something to pin on you. New York does not play. But I personally believe, yes, that was indeed self-defense.
Gun that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. We consider that to be self-defense.
The surveillance footage that was released seemed to strongly back this up, seeing that he was the one who was approached and then threatened. Although his court date would continuously be delayed the entire 2022 year, it was likely he was going to beat the case and be released within a matter of time. But the feds had other plans, and they want anything but to see K Flock back on the streets of the Bronx.
Facts.
On February 23rd, 2023, the federal government stormed in and added a 15-page indictment on K Flock and 7 others, now being labeled the leader of an organized crime syndicate. The New York federal court is demanding that the 19-year-old rapper serve a minimum of life in prison or a maximum of the death penalty.
That's crazy.
Suspect wanted in a deadly shooting
That's
in Harlem.
crazy.
The incident took place yesterday morning on
We're not a regular car. We're gonna hop in the south and violate him. We're gonna put him in the trunk and bring him to the block.
It's like Netflix style, man. Y'all know how Publish X get down.
Before he was ever known as K-Flock, he was just Kevin Perez, born April 20th, 2003 in the Bronx, New York. Although the Bronx is the birthplace of hip-hop music, 40% of the borough lives below the poverty line, making it a hub for crime and gang activity. Unfortunately, he was no exception to that growing up in this environment. His mom says he tried to play sports, boxing, and was also into fashion, but she never expected him to become a rapper.
He wanted to actually do clothing designs and stuff like that. Okay. I had him in boxing because that's what we do. Things like that, but nothing of music, ever.
School never interested him either. He already had an early mindset of getting out on the streets, and he did so with the hustle of someone twice his age. At just 10 years old, he had already been outside hanging on the block. K-Flock took note of what other rappers were doing at the time in Chicago, because while he was growing up in the Bronx, the Chicago drill scene was starting to take over. Although young, in his mind, he was...
Bro, I be telling people, man. And you know, some people agree, but some be like, man, y'all be bumping them niggas up too much. Bro, Chicago really is, I say, one of the biggest influences on music today. You cannot name me one rapper that is coming to the industry within the last 10 years that did not catch not one bit of influence from Chicago music. I'm telling you, you can't name me one. I guarantee you, YoungBoy probably caught influence from Chicago music. I guarantee you, Kodak probably caught influence from Chicago music, even if it's the smallest bit of influence. Whether it's Chief Keef or whoever, bro. Everybody, I'm telling you, man. And I stand on that. I stand on that. Chicago is very instrumental in everything that's going on in the industry, from the style of music to the disrespect to the rawness of it and everything, man. Like, Chicago is the reason for how and why hip hop is the way it is right now.
In the Bronx, the Chicago drill scene was starting to take over. Although young, in his mind, he was old enough to start hustling and meeting new people in the neighborhood. Even though K-Flock was good at making enemies, he was even better at making friends. Aaron Howard, or Dougie B, is actually his blood cousin, but the two grew up like good friends. Then there was Quayshawn, or B-Love as we know him. He was the oldest and had a lot of influence over them, including being the first one to pick up rapping. And lastly, there was also Jalen, known as PMVJ, who at one point was their friend. Needless to say, B-Love had already been in the streets and he had some connections and was already making a name for himself. To them, the streets were too much fun. This was their mindset at a young age. Being young and not fully understanding the lifestyle that came with it, losing family and friends was part of growing up in the Bronx. Being from 187th Street, K-Flock repped a gang called Sevside in DOA, and like any set, they were at war with a few others. Sometimes they even referred to themselves as EBK, or Everybody Killers.
How EBK? Because anybody could get shot.
So you can imagine they had a lot of enemies.
Bro, why am I just not realizing that that's what EBK means? Yo, this whole time, like, bro, every time I listen to these songs and I'm like, they say EBK, I'm like, bro, what does EBK mean? Everybody Killers, okay. Alright, so it's not just set to one person. Everybody can get it.
Everybody Killers.
How EBK? Because anybody could get shot.
So you can imagine they had a lot of enemies, with the YGs and OGs being the main ops of Sevside. As I mentioned, B-Love was the first one to start recording music, but he didn't like the way his songs were coming out, so he ended up giving it up for a while and never released the songs. Meanwhile, PMVJ would actually be the first one to find some success with songs like OMBK. Seeing that PMVJ could get views like that only made them realize they could do it as well, seeing they all come from the same area. Shortly after, B-Love ended up doing some time behind bars, later claiming that someone had snitched on him. This made him hate the street politics, wanting to pursue music more so he could leave that behind. But while this was happening, K-Flock was running his ops down in the streets and would even go live on Instagram, showing him in hoods he wasn't supposed to be in like he was bulletproof.
I make it known when I'm on their side. No, came from all there, boys down there, look, boys still down there. Boys still down there.
Although negative, this attention would actually put his name out there, so his reputation was quickly building. In just a few months, Flocka had made a few hundred fans that would watch his streams where he taunted his enemies. The idea of making music still wasn't on his mind though. The streets had his full attention.
I wasn't really the rapper, it's really the rapper right here.
However, the atmosphere of New York's music scene was quickly changing. Before this, auto-tuned melodic rappers like A Boogie and Lil TJ had been setting the tone. But 2018 saw the rise of Brooklyn drill rappers who began using UK drill beats, giving a whole new sound that quickly took over the city. New drill rappers were popping up all over Brooklyn, while the Bronx was struggling to get anywhere close to that kind of recognition. But that was about to change. In 2019, B-Love came home from his sentence, and upon his return, Dougie B convinced him and K-Flock to start rapping seriously. But things were only getting more complicated in the streets. At this point, their friend PMVJ started repping a new set, and Dougie B and others were upset about that.
What is your reason why you don't like me? Why, bro? You used to stay on me. I used to take care of you, all that. Tell me why you don't like me, bro.
You's a big thing. I don't care about you.
One day, PMVJ was back in Sevside visiting his family when Dougie B and a friend pulled up, allegedly asking PMVJ's mom if he was home. She, unknowing of the beef, told them that he was upstairs if they wanted to hang out.
Whoa.
This would ultimately lead up to Dougie B taking the chain off of his neck and recording the entire incident.
See the chain, I see the face.
K-Flock, of course, would
Bro, what? So moms didn't know that they fell out. Say, yeah, he's upstairs. You guys want some cookies? I'm getting ready to make some pizza rolls. Whole time Dougie up there treating them. Took the chain right off him. Hold on. And that's the thing though. See, when it comes down to these politics, and I'm not a street nigga. I'm not a street nigga. But I grew up in an environment where you see stuff like this happen. You see people grow very close to people. And once you switch aside, bro, you got to remember these folks that you turning on, they know where your people live. They know where you live. They know where your cousin lives, your uncle lives. They know everything about you because y'all was once like this. Y'all was once like family. Bro, that's crazy. He went live with the chain. These was some grimy little dudes.
See the chain, I see the face.
K-Flock, of course, would side with Dougie B, and the rest was history. Because of this though, Dougie B would actually spend some time in jail for the robbery. With Dougie gone, B-Love and K-Flock were still in the streets looking for a way out. But for an undisclosed reason due to being a minor, K-Flock was then also put into a juvenile detention center for a short period of time. With B-Love the only one still holding on to his freedom, he began freestyling over drill beats until K-Flock came home. When Flocka was released, B-Love sat him down and told him he should really give rapping his full attention, and within time he booked a studio session for him where he recorded his first track. On May 26, 2020, K-Flock dropped that song, which was titled FTO, a remix to 22G's Blicky freestyle. The song amassed over 100,000 views due to the hype K-Flock had already been building in the streets, and now everyone wanted to hear him rap. 22G's even ended up giving him props for the remix, a huge success for his first song. 1 month went by and B-Love dropped his first official song as well, No Hook, which also saw about the same success. They now had a platform to grow off of and put the Bronx drill movement on the map. Dropping music at least once a month and collabing on many of them, their names were quickly becoming the talk of the city.
You know what's crazy though? Like, was it the shout out from 22G's that really, you know, put them on the map? Or like, cause the thing is, man, it's so many artists from New York. It's a ton of rappers. Every time we do a New York reaction, it's a new rapper that we discovering here on the channel. So it's like, and not everybody can get those type of numbers, but like, what was it that like pushed them to the next level? Do y'all believe 22G's shouting out K-Flock was what did it, or do y'all feel like it was just luck? Because normally, you know, you hear the story of somebody grinding for years just to get that recognition, for years just to get 10,000 views. These boys was pulling in millions like right away as soon as they started getting to it. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw though, man.
They also made sure to shout out Dougie B in verses while he was still locked away, so his past music was also getting recognized and gave him a small buzz for when he got out. But with all the attention they were now getting, it was also putting an even larger target on their backs. Every song became more specific, targeting different ops. but this is also what made it so popular in the first place. They made it a point to help each other stay on track, and no matter what was happening in the streets, they had to keep recording music if they were going to make it out.
Facts.
Dougie B was released around August of 2020, and when he saw the momentum B-Love and K-Flock had built up, he quickly rejoined the mix. This is when things would really start to take off, kinda like a trio, except they all had their own individual careers. In March of 2021,
Brotherly
the three
Love
of them dropped their song, Brotherly Love.
Legendary.
The first month it was out, it got over 1 million views and really put them on the map.
I feel like a famous rapper from college.
People from outside the city were now tuning in, and their fan base grew a lot after this. A big reason the music was catching on was because they didn't just copy the drill sound that Brooklyn was seeing success with, but rather they put their own twist on it, making it an entirely new sound. Now though other Bronx rappers were getting views too, it was really these three who took it to that next level. From here forward, their songs were easily gathering millions of views every time. But make no mistake, they were still in the middle of a war. Things between Sevside, the YGs, and OGs was heating up, and the music was only adding fuel to the fire for all sides. Unlike most gangs that you've heard about in the past, the ones doing the most damage here in the Bronx were actually kids from the ages of 12 to 18. These kids are younger and wilder than anything you could imagine, and they're pulling triggers. During this time, K-Flock was having beef with his own cousin and rapper D-Thing, just because he was repping a different set, and that just shows how serious they took it.
It's no more free Dougie B, but it's gonna be an RIP.
Then there was another situation with rapper E-Dot, who at one point was friends with K as well. After an Instagram live showed E-Dot smoking and chilling with K-Flock's ops, their friendship was over as well.
16 with 2 million views. They never do that before. All my ops, 18, 19, 20, 21. I be for old great older. Nah, they not even my ops. I'm smacked. I'm high, y'all. My bad. They not my ops. Fans.
At this point, it seemed like everybody had a problem with everybody. But again, every single one of them.
Like today, like, bro, people passed away. D-Thing, K-Flock locked up, bro. I don't know if it's because it's so many like small sets in New York. But like everybody is falling out with everybody. Everybody is beefing with each other. But I think the beef between K-Flock and D-Thing, and I used to always say it when I first started listening to him, man. D-Thing got to deal with French Montana. Bro was signed to Coke Boys. K-Flock collabing with G Herbo. Bro, you know, industry fuck with both sides. And this is like the first time where it's like, and even you look at it now, man, you got people like Favi collabing with 4-1. You got Bobby Shmurda endorsing Didi Osama. It's like everybody got like one big pull for the industry. Didi Osama did a show with Lil Durk. And then again, you got, you know, 4-1, Lil TJ, and I'm like, bro, like everybody really eating. It ain't really like, okay, one side is more blackballed over the other. Everybody got just as much pull.
At this point, it seemed like everybody had a problem with everybody. But again, every single one of them was benefiting from these beefs. Bronx Drill had everybody tuned in, but at what cost? In July, a 21-year-old rapper named Ty Swish was shot in the head while outside of his apartment complex. 2 days later, a 13-year-old named Jarian was chased down and shot outside of a cafe in Belmont.
And Joe, it was a shooting that left a 13-year-old dead and parents of teenagers here horrified that someone could do this. The NYPD tonight is asking for anyone with information to help them find the killer.
It's not confirmed, but it's rumored that this was probably retaliation for Ty Swish's death from just a few days before. On July 11th, another 16-year-old rapper named Raw G's was getting into an Uber headed to a studio session.
I remember this one.
2 kids on scooters rolled up from behind him and shot him.
That's crazy.
Raw G's had been mocking the death of Jarian on social media just an hour before.
Around 11:30 Sunday night by the corner of East 178th Street and Webster Avenue in the Bronx, police say 2 men pulled scooters up next to a cab Medrano was taking to a recording studio. They then shot him in his head and chest, killing him.
A perpetual cycle of dissing and then death was happening. But while this war was brewing between everyone, K-Flock, Dougie B, and B-Love were on the brink of going mainstream. Something they had been risking their lives for in an attempt to make it out was finally about to pay off. Shortly after, K-Flock dropped his song Being Honest, and he would get his first collab from a mainstream artist when G Herbo gave him a verse. Following suit, Lil TJ and Fabio Foreign would also collab with him on the song In the Mood. Now he was getting radio play on Hot 97, and together with B-Love, he walked onto his first major show at Rolling Loud. K-Flock, B-Love, and Dougie B would all sign record deals shortly after, with K.
Said K got signed for $3 million. Dougie got signed for $500K. All right, now I'm just say this, man. I don't doubt it. Because, you know, we seen deals in the past of, you know, artists getting, you know, you can get signed for like a couple mil for X amount of albums or X amount of projects or X amount of percentage. But a $3 million deal is kind of, a lot of times it's unheard of. Like, you know, you might get I mean, it depends, though. It depends. I don't know who Victor is. But, you know, it depends, though, man. Some niggas get signed for $100,000. Some people get signed for, you know, a few million. They get a $100,000 advance that they might have to pay back. It depends. You know, every contract's a little different, though. But if he really got signed for $3 million, oh, my God. And it sucked because it's like, man, lawyer fees, court fees, all that's probably eating all that up, man, for real. Unless his label really backing him through this.
Also collab with him on the song In the Mood. Now he was getting radio play on Hot 97, and together with B-Love, he walked onto his first major show at Rolling Loud. K-Flock, B-Love, and Dougie B would all sign record deals shortly after, with K-Flock's rumored to have been worth a few $1 million. Now they had the money and freedom they had been working hard for, but it's a double-edged sword. The dissing and gang lifestyle was partially the reason they became so popular, so it's hard to just leave that behind at this point.
That's the thing.
But with money in his pockets, he was seen enjoying the finer things in life, taking trips to Miami, riding around in a new BMW, and spoiling his little sister and girlfriend with shopping trips. But the money and fame only made him an even larger target for his ops, which means he now had to think twice before doing anything in his home city, and you better believe they were watching his every move.
Bro, I'm gonna say this though. If I signed a $3 million deal, you will not catch me, not in the city, but you wouldn't even catch me in New York. I'm leaving the whole state. I'm going to a different coast. I'm buying a crib in Cali. I'm going down to Florida. I'm buying a crib in Miami. I'm out of there. I'm not even, I don't know. And it make me wonder though. So if K-Flock actually did take that money, let's say he moved down to Florida, bro could have still been out. I don't know if the feds was already building a RICO against him, but bro would have still, I feel like he would have still been out, man. Because none of that would have ever happened.
Before doing anything in his home city, and you better believe they were watching his every move. The morning of December 16th, K-Flock woke up and was seen on live, once again taunting his enemies to come find him. But he made sure to let him know he wasn't lacking as he revealed a gun tucked in his belt. Hours later, he was walking down Amsterdam Avenue and 151st Street. A shiesty covered most of his face, but a $1,500 Moncler jacket, unreleased Air Jordans, and a $1,400 pair of Amiri jeans may have still gave his identity away. As he passed by a barbershop, surveillance shows Oscar Hernandez come storming out to confront K-Flock. Although he walks out of sight of the cameras for a second, we can assume threats were being made on both ends. After Oscar turned his back to walk away, K-Flock pulled the gun from under his jacket and shot him twice, in the neck and back. Oscar would die later in the hospital while K-Flock quickly fled the scene.
It's crazy.
Police Oscar Hernandez was inside a barbershop when the gunman opened the door and asked him, quote, "What are you looking at?" And the victim went outside to confront him. He was fatally struck in the neck and the back.
Because he was so easy to identify and investigators had access to surveillance from multiple angles, a warrant was issued only 6 days later, but the police wouldn't need to look for him. On December 23rd, Kay hired a well-known lawyer named Scott Lehman to represent him. They drove together to the 30th precinct where he surrendered himself. In this statement, his lawyer describes that police had received a tip that K-Flock wasn't actually the shooter in the surveillance footage, but that was quickly shut down. He was denied bond and waited behind bars while more evidence was collected by the police. Then in March, out of nowhere, Kay would fire his old lawyer and hire the same lawyer who represented El Chapo, a promising sign. In this
that represented El Chapo? Oh, okay. It's looking like a dub coming K-Flock way.
Elected by the police. Then in March, out of nowhere, K would fire his old lawyer and hire the same lawyer who represented El Chapo, a promising sign. In this Instagram post, his new lawyer stated that he was excited to work with K-Flock and was confident he would beat this trial.
So he did shoot him in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. You know, I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case, but the government claims that he pulled the gun out and shot him. But at the same time, the person that was dead on the ground had his hand on a loaded weapon, illegal loaded weapon.
K-Flock then posted several updated photos with the caption reading, "All good, don't believe the blogs or internet. Everything trendy, forever DOA." Over the summer of 2022, his attorney began to argue self-defense, claiming K had no intentions or premeditation to murder Oscar, but instead feared for his life. After all, he was in a dangerous part of town and he was the one who was confronted in this situation. Social media
that's
had
what
been...
I'm saying though. So like it's an open and shut case at that point. It's unfortunate that a life was taken, but it's like K-Flock was minding his own business walking down the street. Yes, he did tell his ops, come find me. But he didn't like go looking for anybody specifically. He was just walking down the street. Broke in front of him. He acted accordingly.
Supporting free K-Flock, and many believed him to be released sooner than later, but his court appearances were being postponed one after another. In November of 2022, fans tuning in would explode when the courts made an error showing his next court date to take place in December of 2028, leaving many to wonder if this was a mistake.
Yeah, that definitely
But shortly
was.
after, the next court appearance was updated and corrected, this time set for November 16th, but even that would be delayed once again. The only update the world would get was a recorded phone call of K-Flock dropping bars saying he felt confident he would be home in 2023.
No, pick up have you on it all way, I know I'll be back real soon, 2023 bars, yo.
His next appearance was set for February 2023, and those tuned into the drill scene were patiently awaiting for the return of the Bronx's biggest drill artist. Instead, what fans and K-Flock would get would be a wake-up call that no one could see coming. Early on the morning of February 23rd, before K was set to appear in court, the federal government would release a 15-page indictment on him and 7 others of the gang Sevside.
And people wonder, why did they constantly push his court dates? Why did they keep rescheduling his court dates? Because they were building this. Hold on. Make sure my camera don't turn off. But they was building this though. They were building this right here because listen. On the surface, it's obviously a self-defense case. Bro would have been out probably like a year ago, to be honest. But they was low-key building this. The state of New York was building this right here. Let's just keep postponing. Let's keep postponing until we got the documents right here for racketeering conspiracy. And they did that, man. They played this man. For something that was once a self-defense case turned into a RICO?
The Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, or RICO charges, and these are very serious accusations. Normally the evidence behind RICO charges go back many years, but in K-Flock and Sevside's case, it was only 2 years worth of evidence, leaving many to believe this was rushed in a desperate attempt to keep K-Flock away and locked up.
That's what I think it is.
Regardless, the government had gathered enough evidence against him and his entire gang, wanting to make an example out of all of them due to New York having some of the strictest sentencing and an image to uphold. New York wasn't taking a liking to the image that K-Flock and his music were giving the city. After all, this is the home of the stock exchange and some of the wealthiest people in the country. The last thing they want is kids glorifying murders in their city.
New York City, they're not waiting for that. You're not going to make the city where e-commerce and the stock market lives look like a crime-infested haven to the rest of the world. And when you're now a rapper and you're going on live to say, hey, I have a gun and I'm chasing it down, you're not going to do it in New York City. You can do this in Chicago. You can do this in Houston.
You can't even do it there though. The thing with New York, like I said earlier in the video, bro, if I would never, I'm scared to bring a razor blade to New York because they so strict like that. I don't even think a plane can fly over Times Square because they'll probably blow it down. New York is extremely dangerous, but listen, You look at places like Houston. Let's look at what's going on in Atlanta right now with the YSL thing and all these future indictments that the DA talking about doing in Atlanta. Bro, Orlando, you seen what they did with Glock 9 and Hot Boy. They don't play. These are tourist spots. Rich ass people. I'm not talking rapper rich. I'm talking wealthy, multi-millionaires, sometimes billionaires live here that pay the taxes for these cities, man. These rich folk can tell the law enforcement, you make that RICO, you keep that nigga in there. You make that RICO and keep that nigga in there. They tell these people that. Y'all think these folks playing? They not playing. They don't care about these little rap dudes, not at all. Self-defense, yeah, we don't care about that. We building a RICO. We got some wealthy people here that's paying our salary. Like, come on now, y'all gotta wake up. It's not just New York. It's Orlando. It's Atlanta. You know how many rich motherfuckers live in Atlanta? And I ain't talking gunner rich. I'm talking actually rich. Gunners for sure got a bag. Thug for sure got a bag. But I'm talking these billionaires. Billionaires. Even look at Chicago. Y'all don't think that's coming for Chicago. Y'all crazy. Come on now.
You could do this in Miami. You will never in life do this in New York City.
Now it suddenly made sense why K-Floc's court date was being delayed. What most initially thought would be no more than a few years quickly turned into a minimum life sentence, with the maximum being the death penalty. Neither K or his defense have responded as of now, only a few recent photos of prison where K is seen here. Police are now gathering all 7 indicted members, and K-Floc's life hangs in the middle. He wanted to be the one who made the change for everyone around him, but at just 19 years old, he may have already lost the chance of being a free man.
I just want my whole hood to be on gangster. I want to be the nigga that make the change for everybody.
It's just sad though, man. Because like I said, man, I looked at K-Flock and I'm like, man, this gonna be the one. I said K-Flock was gonna be the one to take New York to that next level. The same way I said King Von was gonna be the one to take Chicago to the next level. And unfortunately, that had an ending. But it's like, I don't know, man. You know, and it's it's the gift and the curse of the era of music that we're in right now. Because, yeah, you know, we can vibe out to the music, man. Oh, he said that. Oh, he said that. He doing that. Oh, this going crazy. Dang, they rolling down like that. But when reality hits, and the law gets involved, a lot of times, man, there's no way around it, man. I hope K-Flock can keep his head up, though, man. Free K-Flock till it's backwards. The full story of K-Flock link down below in the description. And y'all to check this out in its entirety with no interruptions. Y'all new to the channel. Y'all rock with me. Want daily reaction videos, man. Hit that subscribe button for me. To the next video. I'll see y'all then. Thank you for watching Maniaci TV. I'm out.